The second part of lesson 9.4 has us completing the square with the most challenging equations we've dealt with so far. It says write each equation of each hyperbola in its standard form. Then give the important features. When completing the square with hyperbolas, we must be very careful with the subtraction. We also need to note that the number in front of the quadratic term, either x squared or y squared, may need to be factored out. Otherwise, the process is similar to completing the square with circles and ellipses. Let's start by grouping our x's together and our y's together and move that constant to the other side. Since it's minus 24, I'm going to add 24 to move that over. Then I'm going to write my x squared plus 8x together. X squared plus 8x. And again, we know that this is going to be a hyperbola because our quadratic term for y squared is being subtracted. For that part, I'll just group the minus 4y squared minus 24y. And we'll set this equal to 24. If I put parentheses around the x and complete the square, notice there's nothing in front of x squared. So this complete the square should go pretty smoothly for us. Take half of the b term for x, half of 8, and we get 4. If you square 4, we get 16. Adding that to the inside of the parenthesis makes this a perfect trinomial square. Since we added 16 on the left, we'll add 16 on the right. Factor this. What are two numbers that multiply to get positive 16 and add to get positive 8? Remember, it's always up here, 4 and 4. This gives us x plus 4 times x plus 4. And in quadratic form, that is x plus 4 quantity squared. Now that's where things are pretty normal. It's that second term that's going to be a little bit more aggressive to work with. Notice we have minus 4y squared minus 24y. If we put parentheses around that entire term, not only do we have to factor out the coefficient of 4, but we have to factor out the negative as well. So if I factor out a negative and the 4, we get y squared, and then if we factor negative 4 out of negative 24y, we actually get positive 6y. Make sure you have plus 6y on the inside. And now the next couple of steps are normal. Now that y squared has a coefficient of 1 inside the parenthesis, we'll take half of our new b value, half of 6, and that's 3. If we square 3, we get 9. We're going to add that to the inside. Remember, there's minus 4 out in front. We'd have y squared plus 6y plus 9. All right, so here's where the next step is that things get a little interesting. We're not just adding 9 on this side. We're actually adding negative 4 times 9 because that negative 4 is the coefficient out in front. And technically, negative 4 times 9 is negative 36. That's what we have to combine on that right-hand side to balance the equation out. From there, it should be business as usual. We're going to factor our polynomial. What are the two numbers that multiply to get positive 9 and add to get positive 6? Again, it's always up here. That'll be y plus 3 and y plus 3. With that negative 4 out in front, this gives us x plus 4 squared minus 4 times y plus 3 squared. So this is starting to look more like the quadratic form we need, or the conic section form we need for hyperbolas. On the right, if we combine positive 24 plus 16 minus 36, we get 4. Now, in the form that we're currently in, we know it's an ellipse because it's a subtraction between the quadratic terms. However, the other part of the definition for ellipse is that it needs to equal 1 on the right-hand side. To get that, whatever number is on the right-hand side, we have to divide. And if we divide that on the right, we have to divide both terms on the left. So in that first fraction, be careful. The 4 in the parenthesis and the 4 in the denominator do not cancel out because the parenthesis has addition on the inside. Technically, it's x squared plus 8x plus 16 over 4, and that 4 wouldn't cancel. In the first term, we just leave everything as is. In that second term, we have that 4 on the outside and the 4 in the denominator. Since the 4 is on the outside and it's being multiplied, we can cancel it out. So that gives us y plus 3 squared, but we need something in the denominator. If the 4 cancels out, we have a denominator of 1. On the right-hand side, there's our 1 for our standard form of a hyperbola. This is the equation we would need to list our key features and sketch our graph. We'll use this equation to help us on some of our quiz questions today. All right, let's try the next one. Now we have 4y squared minus 9x squared minus 40y plus 64 equals 0. Taking a look at this hyperbola, we have a y squared and an x squared, and I'm going to move that 64 to the other side. We know this is a hyperbola because it's subtraction between the y squared and x squared term. I notice we've got 4y squared and minus 40y, so when I write those out, I'm going to put them first since the y squared term is first. But notice that minus 9x, minus 9x squared. There isn't a 9 or a plain x term to go with it. So that means we're not going to have to complete the square with x squared. How exciting is that? We have that negative 64 on the right-hand side. So if we look at this, we're only going to have to complete the square for the y terms. That's kind of nice. There's a 4 in front of the squared term. That means we have to start by factoring that out first. If we factor out 4, we'll get y squared minus 10y. All right, let's complete the square. Half of negative 10 is negative 5. Be careful here. When we square negative 5, we get positive 25. Now that's going to go on the inside. We've got 4 on the outside. Y squared minus 10y plus 25 on the inside. All right, let's see. If we added 25 on the inside, but there's a 4 out in front, we've technically added 4 groups of 25 or 100. So 100 is what we have to actually add on the right-hand side. Okay, let's make this a perfect square. 2 numbers that multiply to get positive 25, but add to get negative 10. Always that answer up here. So we still have the 4 out in front, and it'll be y minus 5 and y minus 5, which means that's 4 times y minus 5 squared. Here's the great thing about the next part. The minus 9x squared, since there's no plain x term, we don't have to complete the square at all. We can just drop that down here to minus 9x squared. Cool. All right, on the right-hand side, if we take negative 64 plus 100, we get positive 36. To put this in standard form now, remember whatever is being divided on that right-hand side, we have to divide that out. We want to have it equal 1 on the right-hand side. If I divide the right by 36, I need to divide each set of terms on the left also by 36. The 4 on the outside and the 36 in the denominator, 4 goes into 36 9 times. And that gives us y minus 5 squared over 9. Minus the 9 that's in front of x squared over the 36. 9 goes into 36 4 times. And that gives us x squared over 4. On the right, once again, we get 1. And this is our formula for the hyperbola of the original form, 4y squared minus 9x squared minus 40y plus 64 equals 0. Use these 2 answers to help you with your quiz today.